And welcome back to the David67 Celtic News YouTube channel. This Monday afternoon video is a wee post-match review of Celtic's brilliant 3-1 win over Rangers yesterday afternoon in the Scottish League Cup semi-final. A result that takes Celtic through to a final against St Mirren with a very, very good chance of winning yet another Scottish League Cup. Quite who Celtic's manager will be for that game in around about a month's time, it remains uncertain, although there is increasing speculation that Martin O'Neill may agree to stay on longer than first planned, or may even outside possibility of him staying as Celtic's permanent manager. So in today's video, we're going to have a wee look at the key incidents and controversies, of which there were quite a few, in what actually was a very, very exciting game. Actually some very good football, and the right result in the end on the balance of play, shots, etc. Also, we look at ratings for the players and for Martin O'Neill, and also some of the stats for the game. Celtic started with one main change from the win over Falkirk. In came Dyson Maida on the right-hand side in place of James Forrest. Marcello Sirachi continued at left-back. Johnny Kenny continued at centre-forward, and otherwise the team was as it was against Falkirk, with Schmeichel in goals, Ralston, Trusty, Scales and Sirachi as the back four, McGregor, Engels and Nygren in the midfield, out wide on the right, Maida on the left, Czerniecki, and through the middle, Kenny. And for me, this was a very good, balanced way of approaching things, especially as there were some doubts regarding the fitness of Tierney, especially, and to a lesser extent, Dyson Maida. Celtic actually got off to a great start. They were massively on top of Rangers for the great majority of the first period. Czerniecki in the 9th minute had a shot going over the bar. 17th minute, Trusty won the ball back, got it to Kenny, who got it to Dyson Maida, and he had a shot well saved by Butland. In the 18th minute, straight after that, Celtic thought they had taken the lead. Quick free kick from McGregor to Nygren. Ball then worked into the box. One Rangers player cleared the ball off of Raskin. The ball then bounced into the goals. However, unfortunately, Dyson Maida was about 2 millimetres offside, and the goal was disallowed. After that, actually, Rangers did get a good chance with Chermiti, but he completely fluffed his chance. Then, first moment of controversy, which wasn't picked up terribly much during the game, but very much was by various refereeing pundits after the game, which was an absolutely awful challenge by Cornelius on Johnny Kenny. It was from distance with a lot of force. It was well above the ball, made contact with Kenny's upper ankle, lower shin area, and was simply given a yellow card by Nick Walsh. But surprisingly, VAR didn't consider it an upgrade to red card, which the great majority of referees and pundits after the game have suggested should have been given as a red card upgrade by VAR. Celtic then in the 25th minute took the lead. Brilliant corner by Arnie Engels. Great header by Johnny Kenny, giving Butland absolutely no chance, and VAR and the referee and the linesman, they had no chance to disallow the goal, as it was such a brilliant goal, and Celtic deservedly 1-0 up after 25 minutes. Then another good link-up between Maida and Johnny Kenny. Johnny Kenny got a good shot off, but Butland made one of many good saves during the game. Then further time, Kasper Schmeichel in the 29th minute had to make a good save from Rangers player getting in behind Liam Scales. And in the 31st minute, good in-swinging cross from a corner, from a direct free kick by Tavernier, and Chermiti fluffed his chance at the back post, although probably Schmeichel and the Celtic defenders would have stopped it going into the goal. Round about the 38th minute, another moment very pivotal in the game. The the Rangers midfielder Asgard was quite rightly given a straight red card for an absolutely horrendous challenge on Anthony Ralston. Asgard kicked the ball over his own head, saw that the ball was going to be blocked off by Ralston, but rather than pulling out the challenge as he should have done, he carried on with a thigh-high stamping challenge, which understandably caused Ralston to fall to the ground writhing in pain. Referee quite rightly gave a red card. Whether there was a genuine intent to hurt him, it was clearly with a lot of force from distance, totally reckless, and not just likely to cause harm to the player. The bruises and cuts and abrasions to Ralston's thigh and groin were all too evident on the TV camera, and so it clearly did cause a lot of physical damage to Ralston's upper leg. Commentators did try to downplay it and said, well, maybe it should have been a yellow card, but the general consensus is it was quite rightly a red card. Further chance in the 42nd minute for Celtic to double their lead. Benjamin Nygren and Johnny Kenny kind of got in each other's way. Nygren, who probably wasn't in such a good space to take the shot, took the shot when maybe it would have been better for Kenny to come onto the ball. However, the ball was bundled out. And in the first minute of added time in the first half, rather stupid flick out by Austin Trusty made minimal contact with Butland's head, as was very obvious from the camera angles and replays, and also the physio treating Butland. There was absolutely no damage to Butland's head, no cut, no scar, no nothing at all, and it was with minimal force. Silly little flick out. Shouldn't really have been given a red card, although quite a lot of pundits, particularly the Rangers version on Premier Sports, and also the commentator, seemed desperate to get Austin Trusty red carded to level things up. Happily, Nick Walsh and VAR took the correct action and gave a yellow card, in my opinion. And so Celtic went in at half-time, 1-0 up, and with 11 players to 10. To give Rangers manager Roll a lot of credit, he did actually come out in the second half and tried to attack rather than defend. And in the second half, Rangers did get a lot of the ball. However, didn't really get terribly many actual chances on Celtic's goal until the rather controversial penalty kick around about the 80th minute of the game. However, before that, Celtic had quite a number of chances and half chances. Arnie Engels in the 53rd minute, brilliant shot that just missed the left-hand post. And a great save in the 64th minute by Butland from a close range header from Benjamin Nygren from a corner. And then Butland made a second save with Anthony Ralston's follow-up shot. And on another day, one or other of those two shots would have gone in, but for a very good couple of saves by the Rangers goalkeeper. 67th minute, Srirachi good pass into the box. Benjamin Nygren in lots of space. Unfortunately, his shot went over the bar. 69th minute, James Forrest, who'd come on as a substitute, got into the box. Good first-time left-footed shot, crashed off the bar, nearly rebounded off Butland's back to go back into the net. The ball then broke again to James Forrest, who unfortunately hit the second shot over the bar. 75th minute, some brilliant defending by Liam Scales, tracking back Gazima, who has a lot of pace, but Scales managed to catch up with him and actually kick the ball onto Gazma's foot. Ball went out for a bye kick, except the linesman and the referee gave it as a corner, and unfortunately VAR at this time can't overturn such major errors by the on-field officials, giving a corner when it should be a bye kick. And in the 79th minute, 80th minute, another moment of controversy. Looked like Anthony Ralston was pushed over by Mijovski in the box. Ralston, in falling, then did stretch out, kept his arms by his side, slightly turned his back to the ball, and the ball hit him on the elbow. with Ralston's arms into his side and his face facing the opposite way. However, after what was rather a long pause, Nick Walsh gave a penalty kick and VAR didn't overturn it. In my view, given the fact that Ralston was pushed over and was falling and he had his arms into his side and he was turning away from the ball, it all should have been given as a non-penalty. It will be interesting to see how Willie Collum explains all the ins and outs of that on his monthly VAR review show on Sky, which should be in the near future. To be fair, James Tavernier, as he often does, hit a very good penalty, giving Kasper Schmeichel no chance, and so in the 81st minute, Celtic were pulled back to 1-1. 84th minute, Callum Osmond, who'd come on as a sub for Johnny Kenny, had a great chance after a brilliant run by James Forrest. Great pass by James Forrest across the box. Osmond took a good touch to get the ball under control. Probably should have hit his shot a bit harder and better place, but Butland, to give him credit, made a good save. And 2 minutes into added time, another great run and pass by James Forrest gave Rio Hatate tons of space just on the edge of the box, just inside, and unfortunately Hatate blazed his shot over the bar. And 4 minutes into added time, Kieran Tierney had a nice shot coming from the edge of the box. It was deflected and blocked out wide, should have been given as a corner, except Nick Walsh, pretty much as the clock turned to 4 minutes of added time, blew his whistle to end the game as soon as possible, taking the game into extra time. In contrast to the way that the coaches and the players were going into extra time against Kairat Almaty in the Champions League qualifier and going into extra time in the Scottish Cup final back in May, the coaches such as Maloney especially and McGregor and Tierney and many other players were going around, geeing everybody up, getting everybody fired up. And it would appear that Maloney did the bulk of the tactical talks and then backed up with a few sage, clever, intelligent words from Martin O'Neill, and Celtic did come out into extra time very much the better team, exploiting the space created by Rangers being down to 10 men and having rejigged their midfield and wide players and attackers right, left and centre. And indeed, Celtic deservedly took the lead in extra time in the 93rd minute. Absolutely stupendous shot by Callum McGregor. The shot seemed to develop more and more pace as it flashed past Suter's head. Butland had virtually no time to react after that, and the ball kind of went straight through Butland's hands into the goal, into the roof of the net, and Celtic deservedly up in the 93rd minute. In the 96th minute, Callum Osmond could well have, on another day, increased the lead to 3-1. Great cross by Kieran Tierney. Brilliant diving header by Callum Osmond, and Butland very brilliantly dived to his right to push the ball away. And then from the resulting corner, Callum Osmond had another headed chance, but it flashed wide of the goal. And indeed, Rangers then got a couple of half chances. Kasper Schmeichel made a good save from Gazima, who got in behind Austin Trusty, about the only mistake he made in the whole game. And then in the 99th minute, as the 101st minute, Bojan Majowski was a wee bit free in the box. However, Kasper Schmeichel did very well diving at his feet to push the ball away. And thereafter, Rangers really weren't a threat in the remainder of the game. 103rd minute, Callum Osmond had a good turn and shot that was blocked away, and unfortunately, Dijsselmeyer couldn't quite get to the rebound. However, Callum Osmond in the 109th minute made the tie safe for Celtic. Great cross shot by Kieran Tierney in between the defender and the goalkeeper, and some very good striker's instinct by Callum Osmond, sliding in to knock the ball in from 6 yards. Was well onside, reacted far quicker than the Rangers defenders, far quicker than Butland, and very good striker's finish, and Celtic 3-1 up. And the remaining 10 minutes or so, no real threat from either side. Celtic completely controlling things, and Celtic winning the game 3-1 into the final against St Mirren in around about 5 weeks' time. And interestingly, Celtic's 3-1 win over Rangers in the League Cup semi-final was the same as O'Neill's one time he was successful against Rangers at Hampden Park, which was a 3-1 win in the Scottish League Cup semi-final of 2001. Moving on to the stats for the game, it was actually quite a close game in many ways in terms of some of the stats. However, in most of the key stats, Celtic were much the better side. Possession was 51 to Celtic, 49 to Rangers. However, despite the possession being pretty much equal, Celtic had twice as many shots as Rangers, 22 to 12, twice as many on targets, 10 to 4, twice as many off targets, 9 to 4. Block shots were pretty much equal, 3 for Celtic, 4 for Rangers. Kasper Schmeichel, 3 saves, Butland, 7 saves. Corners, triple as much for Celtic, 14 to 5. Yellow cards, 6 for Celtic, 3 for Rangers. The Rangers could easily, on another day, have had quite a few more yellow cards. 1 card, red card for Asgard, and as I was saying, probably Cornelius should have been red carded in the first half, but certainly having been yellow carded, should have had a second yellow card in extra time when he pulled back Callum Osmond, who would have been through. But this time the referee kept his cards in his pocket, otherwise Rangers would have been down to 9 men for the last few minutes of extra time. So Celtic on top in virtually all the key stats in terms of shots, shots on target, shots off target, corners, and deservedly got their victory in the end. In terms of the ratings, I've given Martin O'Neill an 8.5 out of 10 managerial rating. I think he got his original selections just absolutely perfect. I think starting Daizen Maida allowed James Forrest to come on later in the game to be an impact player. I think his substitutions worked really well. James Forrest was a real revelation. He came on and played absolutely brilliantly, created a lot of chances, showed a lot of pace, a lot of intelligence, some brilliant runs, good shot that hit the bar, set up what could have been another couple of goals at least. Similarly, brought on Callum Osmond, taking off Johnny Kenny. At the time, I thought, oh, that's maybe a bit dodgy, except Osmond came on and played an absolute blinder. Other changes, bringing on Tierney to replace Sriracha, who was maybe just starting to tire a wee bit, having had a minor knock through the week. Tierney, some brilliant crosses and passes, basically good defending, hardly had any threat down his side to deal with defensively. That worked out really well. Rio Tati and Balakwisha both came on. I think those were both good substitutions that stabilised things a wee bit. Hattati, a few good passes. He really should have scored that chance 2 minutes into added time, and Balakwisha came on and stabilised things the last 10 minutes or so, and also allowed Daizen Maida a wee bit of a rest prior to the game against Midtjylland on Thursday. In terms of the player ratings, I've given Kasper Schmeichel 8 out of 10. He made some very vital saves, defended his goal well, got the ball out very quickly from by kicks and kickouts and throwouts. He, I think, showed good leadership. I think there was only one bad pass in the whole game from him. And as I said, made some vital saves from Chermiti and from Miovski and Gazima. And so well done to Kasper Schmeichel. 7 for Anthony Ralston, defended well, basically. Made 1 or 2 incursions deep into the Rangers' half. Good combative performance, hardly made any errors. Given 8 to Austin Trusty, would have been my man of the match, alongside Callum McGregor, was it not for that rather silly yellow card and letting Gazma in behind him during extra time. However, brilliant performance by one of the forgotten men, one of the men frozen out by Rodgers, Austin Trusty, who didn't seem to have any hope of getting into Celtic's team for as long as Rodgers remained at the club. Liam Scales, 7 out of 10. I think he defended pretty well, made a brilliant recovery tackle on Gazama. 1 or 2 wee errors, letting Chermiti in behind him on a couple of occasions, but his passing was generally good. He often made the right decision to pass to Sriracha or to Austin Trusty or to Callum McGregor in a bit more space, and was much less dithering in his passing from Scales. And he also did a couple of good long passes. Given Sriracha a 7.5, did seem to tire a wee bit late in the game before getting taken off for Tierney, but made lots and lots of space down that left-hand side, defended very well, um, tackled well, intercepted well, helped out in defence, helped out getting the ball forward, and a couple of nice crosses and passes from out wide on the left, so 7.5 for him. Given Callum McGregor 8.5, scored a goal, created a lot of chances, defended well, linked the play up well, showed a lot more attacking intent throughout the whole game, showed good leadership at various points during the game. So 8.5 for him. 7 for Arnie Engels, some good defensive work in midfield, some good recovery of the ball, lots of lovely deliveries from corners and free kicks, and set up the first goal and set up another couple of chances for Celtic. Benjamin Nygren, 6.5, wasn't his best game. He did actually, however, have a couple of shots at goal, one being saved by Butland, one going over the bar, and one or two nice wee touches and passes. And he was part of the setup for the first goal that was disallowed. But overall, just that wee bit disappointing. Given Daisamida 7 out of 10, showed tons and tons of energy, tons and tons of intent, had a couple of half chances, could maybe have done a wee bit better with that shot in the first half. However, right from minute one, right to when he came off in the 109th minute, he was full of energy, full of intent, tracking back, helping out in midfield, helping out in defence, making a few challenges and fouls, and it was a great performance by Dyson Maida. Looks like he's full of enthusiasm, full of energy under Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney, and seems to be back to the person Celtic had before Brendan Rodgers seems to have ruined his confidence and ruined his spirit between August and October. Johnny Kenny, given 7.5, scored a very good goal, worked very hard up front, had a couple of other half chances, which on another day could have been a goal, and seems to have regained tons of confidence, tons of scoring ability, finishing ability, good striker's instincts since O'Neill and Maloney took over from Rodgers. Yet another of these forgotten, frozen out men. And Chunetsky given 7.5 out of 10. Lots of great runs up and down his side, his wing. Gave the Rangers right-sided centre-back tons and tons of problems throughout the whole game. Was a wee bit surprised at the time that Tunecki was taken off. However, Forrest played so well that it was obviously the right decision by O'Neill. In terms of the subs, I've given James Forrest an 8 and Callum Osman an 8. I think those two were absolutely brilliant. Rodgers never even let Osman onto the bench, never mind not giving him a start. Osman showing great striker's instincts. Scored one, could have scored 4 on the day. Tons of energy, tons of pace, tons of enthusiasm. Really, really good performance by him. James Forrest seems to be a new man, lots of pace, beats his opponent, cuts inside, goes outside, can beat people for pace outside, dribbles inside, keeps the ball under control, gets in the box, hit the ball over the bar, nearly set up 2 or 3 other goals for Celtic. A really transformative performance by James Forrest ever since Rodgers left and O'Neill and Maloney came back. Given Rio Hatati and Balikwisha both 6.5, Tati probably should have done better with that shot 2 minutes into added time. Balikwisha came on to give Maeda 10-15 minutes of a rest at the end, and Tierney came on. I've given him a 7. Thought he played very well defensively, but more importantly, some lovely crosses into the box. Nearly set up a diving header goal for Callum Osmond. He did set up Callum Osmond's actual goal with his brilliant cross shot, which Osmond slid onto. And very good performance by Kieran Tierney, not showing any disappointment at having to come off the bench to replace Sirachi, which again suggests that Maloney and O'Neill are doing a tremendous job boosting the confidence and the team spirit of the whole Celtic squad. All in all, a very good performance by Celtic, a very good result for Celtic into the final in around about 5 weeks' time. Great performance by so many of Celtic's players, particularly the forgotten men, players like Engels, Osmond, Kenny, Trusty, all of whom Rodgers seemed to freeze out or forget or hardly play or give any responsibility to. Great advert for Scottish football, end to end, full of controversy, full of good football, full of good goals, and great advert for Scottish football, as I'm saying. Now, that just about finishes things off for this Monday afternoon video. We'll be doing a video or two between now and the Michelin game on Thursday, and we'll be doing a live stream around about 9 o'clock on Thursday evening as well. Do feel free to pop your comments into the comment section. Keep things pleasant, polite, respectful, family-friendly language. And as always, do feel free to click that subscriber button if you're not yet subscribed. Keep the numbers pushing up to 1,500. Even one new subscriber per day just makes me so happy, particularly in miserable weather like we're having at the moment. And so until the next video, goodbye. Good, well done Celtic on beating Rangers yesterday in the semi-final, and hail, hail.